Hi, welcome to another episode of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Helping us out, as always, is our volunteer Tammy Benson. And our first guest today is one of our senior cats. This is Steve, and he is a handsome orange tabby. He's a domestic short hair. He came to us previously owned, and Steve was brought to us because his owner said that he was showing some aggression and he was spraying in the house. So when animals come to us and they are having an issue with litter box, then we always kind of do some tests, make sure we know what's going on, check out, monitoring that. Are they using their litter box? Are they not? And what we found on Steve's blood work is that he has an issue called hyperthyroidism. And sometimes in cats that can cause a behavioral change. He is using his litter box here, which is why he is on our adoption floor, and we've not seen any aggressive behavior from him. If anything, he's a little bit shy, but he's really affectionate, easy to handle, things like that. He's just gonna be a cat that's like some of our other animals on the floor that needs some medical treatment throughout the rest of his life to manage that medical issue. That's one of the reasons why he looks a little bit thin, because his metabolism and his thyroid are working faster. And also he is not enjoying the meals, unfortunately, that we have for him. So he's not wanting to eat for us. So we're trying to figure out what kind of foods he really likes. He is a cat that, again, is very sweet, but you will need to consider, how you want to manage his medical condition. He, if managed properly, he will live, a long, happy, healthy life. I have a cat at home personally who has this issue, and she takes her medication daily, and she's happy and fine and doing really well. So with his issue, you could manage that through a medication or a special diet. And there are other treatments that are a little bit more expensive. But if you fall in love with Steve, that is something that you want to make sure that you can handle. You want to make sure that you are financially capable of covering his medical expenses. He purrs easily. I've seen him kind of cozying up to laps. He came down for me when I started petting him a little bit. He came off his shelf, wanted to interact, and he's been pretty chill on Tammy's lap. So he's going to be a great companion. You just want to make sure that you are able to provide for his medical needs. If you think that that's going to be something that you're able to do and you want to visit with Steve, you can stop here at the shelter. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue, and ask to visit with Steve. Our next guest is Zeta. She's a little bit younger than Steve. She's about a year old, and she came to us. It says previously owned. Sometimes that can be confusing. Sometimes they are in a home and of someone's pet. Sometimes they're a stray that someone has been caring for, outside their home, feeding it for a period of 2 weeks. Sometimes they're animals that just have shown up in people's barns, and then, they discovered them. So we don't know exactly what her story is, just that, she is listed as previously owned. She didn't have a name, so we named her Zeta here. She is color-coded green, which means she's a high-energy cat. She's very petite as well, so she's going to have that kitten look to her for a while, possibly forever. Even though she's an adult cat. So sometimes that's something that people are looking for. They wish that they could have a kitten forever, and Zeta might be one of those types of cats for you. When you're interacting with her, you're going to notice that she does have some hair loss and some little scabbies around her neck. When she came to us, she was infested with fleas. So we've treated her for that. But sometimes cats can have allergies to fleas and flea bites. That hair loss could possibly be from that, or from ear mites, or any of those types of things. So we've treated her for that, and we're monitoring it. If it gets worse, then we will medicate in other avenues. So it's really important to keep your animals on proper medication. So because she does have that kind of reaction to fleas, maybe even as an indoor only cat, maintaining her on some flea and tick preventative just as an extra precaution might be beneficial. She is showing her relaxed side, her affectionate side, kind of rolling around on Tammy's lap, showing her where she wants to be petted, things like that. But in her cage, she definitely comes right to the front. She wants to interact with people. So you're going to get a good mix of a young adult cat with Zeta. Just like all of the animals that come into the shelter, she's going to, all the cats, dogs, and rabbits, that is, she's going to be spayed and or neutered, but she will be spayed. She's going to get all of her vaccines up to date. We've already given her all of her preventatives for flea and tick and things like that. She's been dewormed. We've already microchipped her. We also test for feline leukemia and feline AIDS. She tested negative for those things. So all she really needs now is for someone to come in and want to make her part of the family. If you were interested in making Zeta your newest family member, you could adopt her here at Animal Control for a fee of $97.50. This is General Lee, and he's about 2 to 3 years old, and he's actually been with us since March. And you might say, well, I visit the shelter, I watch the show, I check out the social media, and I've not heard anything about General Lee. That's for a very important reason. He has been in a 4-month quarantine. What happens in his case and in all of our 4-month quarantine cases is that animals come to the shelter with bite wounds of unknown origin. And because we don't know where those bite wounds came from, we don't know whether they possibly came from a rabid animal. And because it's a public safety issue due to the fact that rabies is a fatal illness, we have to quarantine them to make sure that they're not showing any symptoms of that. And we have to make sure that we are getting them vaccinated at the appropriate times and things of that nature. So animals that come in with no vaccine history, like General Lee here who was a stray, have to be in a 4-month quarantine. And then animals that have a vaccine history of some sort have a shorter quarantine period. So fortunately for General Lee and another cat on the floor right now, actually, Carl, we had a foster who was willing to do this. So the way that those quarantines work is the animals go into one room in a double isolation. They only have one handler. They don't get to interact with other animals. And then once they have been given the all clear after that period of time and they show no symptoms of the disease, then they are able to come back and be made available for adoption here. And so that's what's happened with both General Lee and another cat named Carl. So we do have a lot of information on how he behaves after that 4-month period. However, it is kind of a little bit in a vacuum because for most of his period of time with that foster family, he was isolated. So he did really well with his foster. He wants to be with people. He doesn't really like to be carried around, but he likes to lay on you or next to you. He plays, he runs around, he loves to jump on the cat tree. He didn't like the window screen. It made him nervous. Likes eating catnip. He likes cat treats and squeaky mice toys. And once he passed his 4-month period of time, he was able to mingle into the rest of the house and meet some of the other animals. So we learned a little bit more. He enjoyed following his foster around. She describes him as a total cat dog. He's friendly with other animals after a proper introduction. And she says he would do fine with other normal cats of any age. Since he's been here, we've color-coded him in green, and he's done really well on the adoption floor, meeting volunteers and potential adopters. If you want to give him a forever home, you can visit him here at the shelter. The address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue. This handsome guy is a bunyip. Yes, I said bunyip. For those of you like me who don't know what that is, we are currently naming animals with the naming convention of mythological creatures. I just Googled it, and a bunyip is a mythological creature from Australian Aboriginal origins. So you can do a little bit more research if you're interested. He is 1 to 2 years old, and he's a domestic long hair. He's a gray, and he's just he's color-coded yellow, which means that he's a little bit shy. But in recent days, I've seen him out on the adoption floor, just coming up and asking for attention, showing volunteers his belly, getting lots of pets, and so he's definitely coming out of his shell a little bit. When he came in, he had some mats on him that were shaved out. With any of the longer-haired breeds, it is more important to keep up with their grooming maintenance. He's going to need to be brushed more frequently than a shorter-haired cat. So just making sure that you're committed to keeping up with that, because clearly he has had some mats in the past, so it's something that might occur again in the future. He's being updated as we speak on all of his medical things. He's already had some of his vaccinations, his dewormer, flea and tick preventative. He's going to be neutered in the next few days. He is being treated for an upper respiratory infection, which is something that a lot of the cats here get. It's basically a cold, and that is one of the many reasons why we ask visitors not to stick their hands in all of the cages and pet the animals, because as you go from one cage to the next, especially if you're not cleaning your hands, you're spreading germs that can lead to the spread of that upper respiratory infection. He's about 8 pounds, so he's an average size cat, and he's definitely going to make someone a great companion. You know, the first step is to come in and visit with the animals here at the shelter. So the adoption process is you come in, you find an animal you're interested in, you make sure that we're still accepting applications on that animal, you read their profile, that's always what I'm holding on the show, then you visit with them. If you're still interested, then you fill out an application. Applications take about 2 to 5 days to process. If you're selected to adopt, then there's an interview before you're able to take your animal home. So it's a process that's designed to make sure that we are finding the best homes for all of our animals and that the animals are going to be in forever homes. If you want to make your home a forever home for Bunyip, then you can stop in and visit with him here. We are open to the public to visit animals Monday through Saturday. And the hours of operation are going to be on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and Saturday from 10 to 4. Next, we have one of our bonded pairs. Last week you met Luna and Scooter, our 3-year-old orange and cream tabby bonded pair, and today we have for you our 2-year-old bonded pair, all black, Leon and Noelle. I love these guys because I have an affinity for black cats. I love them, and I love that their names are each other's names backwards. So Leon backwards is Noelle, and Noelle backwards is Leon, and I think that's cute and quirky, and I really like it. They are super sweet, affectionate cats. Leon is a little bit more outgoing. You can tell them apart because Leon has a little bit of a white spot on his chest. He's the cat that likes to explore when you open the cage and will try to get out. And then Noelle is a little bit on the shyer side. She kind of hangs to the back, wants to assess the situation first. Even right now, she's trying to hide. He's trying to explore, and she's trying to find a safe place to hide because she's a little bit nervous. So they kind of balance each other out. They love to cuddle together in their cage, and they get upset when they're apart, so we are not going to separate them. They must be adopted as a twofer, and they make a great pair. You know, a lot of people are coming into the shelter right now and they're wanting to adopt multiple pets, which is great. But they're, you know, mix and matching, and it can be a little bit easier to do that transition in your home and for the animals if you're picking a pair of animals that are already familiar with one another. If you adopt 2 animals, you do get a $20 reduction in your adoption fee here at Animal Control. We hope you enjoyed meeting some of our adoptable cats today. After the break, we're going to introduce you to 5 dogs new to the adoption floor. Welcome back. Our first dog today is Baby, and he is an adorable little baby boy. He is 1 year old, and he is brindle and white. He came to us really recently, and he came to us because the owner, his owner was evicted from their apartment or their home, and they were then unable to care for the dog. Unfortunately, they'd only had him for about 10 weeks, so not very long. And he's made his way here. He has previously gotten along with dogs. He's lived with children as well, ages 4 and 11. The owner, you know, for the time that they spent together, did give some information about his behavior. He's playful, energetic, friendly. They say he's a digger, a fence jumper. He has primarily lived indoors. He is not yet house trained or crate trained, but they say that he does know several commands. He apparently knows sit and stay. He knows down, He is food motivated, which is great if you're looking to train a dog. They also listed some other words here, and then they wrote ASL next to it. So assuming that he knows all of these commands in ASL. So that would be great if you are a family who is hearing impaired and looking for a dog that can be ready to communicate with you right off the bat. We behavior assess all of the dogs here, and we have his assessment as well. He keeps his kennel pretty clean, which is great. He's friendly. He reacts favorably to other dogs. He's easy to leash up. He's easy to walk. No issues with food aggression. He loves to be petted, and he enjoys that. But he is color-coded orange. It says here orange, but I have seen him be a little bit shy in his kennel, and I think his actual cage card is yellow. So you want to make sure that you take things a little bit slow with him when you're first meeting him, so that he can warm up to you and get comfortable. The adoption fee for adult dogs, which baby qualifies as, are going to be $92.50. That covers all of the medical care that we provide for the animals. So those initial vaccinations, rabies, distemper, bordetella, deworming, flea and tick preventative, microchipping, and a well visit to the vet. So you really can't beat all that you're going to get when you adopt an animal from us. If you are interested and you have an existing dog, we would encourage you and highly recommend that you bring your dog in to meet any of the adoptable dogs that you're looking to add to your family. This is Chip, and he is one of the smaller dogs that we have on the adoption floor right now. He's also one of our senior dogs, perhaps the oldest dog on the adoption floor right now. He is 10 years old, and he's a Wheaton-colored Wheaton Terrier. He came to us previously owned. He was brought to us after he, in a provoked manner, bit a neighbor. So they brought him here to us because they felt they couldn't deal with that. It's not uncommon for animals to, have provoked bites here in the shelter, or to come to the shelter because of those things. We're not going to penalize animals when, somebody has done something to them to make them react. Sometimes it can be, kids pulling on them, or tails, ears, or just when they're done being messed with and they're ready to go, and kind of forcing that. Sometimes it's restraint, like sometimes it's vet offices. So there's a lot of reasons for provoked bites. But because of that, the only thing that we are suggesting is, because he is a little head shy and a little nervous around sudden movements and loud noises, that he go to a home with older children. He is one of our purple color-coded dogs. We have a lot of those right now. They just need someone who is dog savvy and can deal with their behavioral issues and work on training, or just accept the dog the way that they are. This guy, again, head shy, so he doesn't necessarily like it when people are putting a leash over him or taking it off. Doesn't necessarily like when people are petting him on the top of his head or standing over him. Taking all of those things into consideration. When he came in, his skin was clear, but it looked like previously he had some mats and things like that, so you want to make sure that you're getting him groomed appropriately. He also had a small skin tumor on the visible. He's an older dog, so he needed his ears cleaned. He had an ear infection, and then ultimately at some point he might need a dental done. As far as our behavior assessment of him, he keeps his kennel clean. He can be cautious when people are approaching him unless he knows you. No reaction to other dogs. He's shy. Takes a little bit of time to get him leashed up. Easy to walk, however. No issues with food aggression. Likes to be petted. And again, we're looking for that older children adult home for him. If you are interested in meeting with Chip, you can stop by and visit him here at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Our next dog is a dog that is technically a senior, although you would never know it by his play style. This is Burke, and he is an adorable white and red pit bull mix. He's about 6 to 7 years old. He came to us as a stray, but obviously owned by someone because he is super affectionate, tries to get into people's laps, loves toys, so he's had access to play with toys. And he's just a great dog. We have him down as recommending him for children 10 and up, so that's something to be aware of when you're coming in and looking. We make those assessments based on what we think is going to be best for the animal, but also what's going to be best for the children in the home. So he is a large dog. He does have that higher energy level, so we want to make sure everybody's going to be safe on that front. When Burke came in, he did have a little bit of skin infection, a little bit of some issues with his ears. You know, we don't know how long he was out as a stray. And we've also noticed that he has a dental grade of 2 of 4, but he has some broken and infected canines. So, you know, those are things that you're going to need to be looking at, you know, making sure that you're checking his ears because he had an ear infection. Is he going to be prone to those in the future? Making sure that you're keeping up with his dental care. As animals age, they do become more expensive because, like us, they incur some more medical expenses. You'll also notice when you look at Burke that he does have some old kind of scarring. So his life may have been a little bit rough to start. Those might be old bite wounds from other dogs, things like that. So we're hoping that we're going to set him up with a nice cushy life for the remainder of his life. Based on his behavior assessment, we have found that he doesn't keep his run clean, so he needs some work on house training. That could be environmental, or it could be that he's really not house trained. So being willing to work with him on that. He's excited and friendly when you approach his kennel. He reacts favorably to other dogs walking past his kennel. Because he's so excitable, he can be hard to get leashed up, and he can be difficult to walk because he is a little bit of a stronger dog. So a harness is always good there. He's also just a big dog, but as you can see, he's also kind of a big baby who just loves attention, loves to play, things like that. He doesn't have any serious issues with food aggression. He doesn't always like to give up his toys, but you can learn to trade with him so that you're giving him another toy or you're giving him a food item, something like that instead, and he loves to be petted. As you can see, he's full of energy, full of life, and just looking for a good family that he's going to fit into. If you're interested in him, because he's a senior dog, he will go home for a $20 reduction in his adoption fee, making him adoptable for a fee of $72.50. This big guy is Falcor. He is a 1-year-old Rottweiler mix. He came to us previously owned. He was surrendered due to an allergy issue in the home, and then it also said family displacement. So he was brought here so that we can find him another loving family. Somebody asked on Facebook recently, was this dog previously named Beast? The answer to that is yes. When animals come in with names that might not help them get adopted, we try to change those. So if you see a big dog like this barking in his kennel and his name is Beast, you might have a negative opinion of his character. So we have changed it to Falcor because he, to some, looks like Falcor from Neverending Story. So that's why we changed his name, hoping that those positive associations will help him get adopted a little bit more quickly than the name Beast. He is one of 3 dogs right now that are available for adoption through animal control but are not on the adoption floor. You have to call and schedule an appointment to meet with Falcor. You also need to schedule an appointment to meet with Capone and Onyx. The reason we're doing that is because they don't show very well in their kennels. With Falcor in particular, when strangers walk up to his kennel, he can bark more. He's just uncomfortable, nervous. He doesn't have an escape route. He's in a confined space. And then when he sees people that he knows, he loves attention so much that he continues to bark and attention seek, which can be off-putting to some people. But when you get him outside, he's really just a big baby who loves to play and cuddle and give kisses. He's just a sweet guy that unfortunately you're not going to see that in his kennel. So we want to show people Falcor, and we want them to have their first meeting outside of his kennel. According to the previous owner who had him, pretty much his entire life, he gets along with and has lived with cats, 2 of them that they listed, and then dogs as well. He's done well with other dogs. They say he's playful, energetic, a jumper, barker, walks on a leash, rides in a car, used to bass. He's a chewer and a chaser. They say that he is both house trained and crate trained. We do know that he also knows sit, the owner said that they do trust him to be left alone in the house. So the owner gave us a lot of really good information. They also left a phone number. So if you have more questions about Falcor and you want to learn more about what their experiences and his behaviors were with other animals or anything else, you can call and ask the previous owner. Our assessment of him here, he is easy to obtain. Again, difficult to walk. He's very strong. No issues with food aggression. Wasn't really interested in toys. Loves to be petted because of his barking and the fact that he's big. An older children home might be best for this guy. You can ask about him and call to schedule an appointment by calling 301-600-1546. This is Chappie, and he is another one of our dogs that, as you can see, loves a good toy. So he's having a good time out here with us today. He is a 1.5-year-old black and white Pit Bull mix. He was previously owned, and now he's here with us looking for a new forever home. He is also one of the dogs that is, we have some restrictions on the types of families that can adopt him. He can only go to an adult-only home. We do not want him to be around children for the safety of the dog and the safety of the children. Right now, he is being worked with by some of our staff and volunteers on an issue with some food guarding. He doesn't know that when things are taken away from him, that he will get them back. So he thinks that he needs to protect his food. So they are working very hard with him on that. But because of that, we don't want him to be around children who might have food near him or throw treats on the ground, different types of things that could cause an issue. But he does have a lot of great qualities. He just needs to be trained and worked with in that area. He is a dog that keeps his kennel fairly clean. When you approach his kennel, he's friendly and excited. He reacts favorably to other dogs. Like a lot of our pit bulls, he can be difficult to obtain because he's so excited to see people come in to take him out. He also is difficult to walk. They pull, sometimes they walk in front of you, they jump around, so he needs some work in that area as well. He reluctantly gives up toys when asked. He'll eventually be able to get the toy away from him. But he is another dog, we've talked about this on the show before, learning to trade with him. So trading one item for another of equal or higher value is going to be a very effective tool for him and make sure everybody is staying safe and he's happy, and he's learning that if something's removed from him, he's going to get something in return, so he doesn't feel the need to guard it. He gets highly aroused by touch, which is another reason why he should not necessarily go to a home with children. So he flips his head around quickly. Kids do lots of fast movements. They don't always know right away where it's okay to touch a dog, so we're protecting him from being in a situation where he might be set up to fail. In his profile, which everyone is required to read before visiting with a dog, you're going to have the information from our staff and volunteers who have been working with him on his food guarding, and you can see how he's making progress there. According to the paperwork, the reason the dog was surrendered, it was the person surrendering son's dog, and his son was moving to Vegas. He has previously, according to this, gotten along with cats and other dogs. So if you're interested in a Chappie, you can visit with him and read more about him here at Animal Control. We hope that you enjoyed meeting all of these adoptable animals today. They are looking for their forever homes here at Animal Control. You can visit with them or any of the other adoptable animals here Monday through Saturday. The visiting hours are going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We hope that you will also tune in again next week as we introduce you to more of our adoptable pets.